Hello, hello, how are you all doing? I hope you're okay. I hate starting videos like this. I always say that. I just feel so awkward talking to a camera. It's weird. Anyways, I hope you all are doing okay in these really, really strange times that we're in. So let's talk about this next project that you're going to think about and start working on. It's the Brochure Project Assignment Guidelines. So before you review this video, make sure that you've looked at files 9.1, 2, and 3, and that you have downloaded the assignment guidelines. It's this information below, but it's good to have the file too, just in case. A brochure is a professional document that provides information about a topic. It incorporates pictures as well that correspond to the text. So the pictures aren't random. They connect with what's being discussed for that audience awareness. You should create a brochure on a topic you know well so that you don't have to keep looking online for information, because the majority of your writing should just be based on your knowledge, your understanding of the subject. Do not copy and paste information from the web, because that's plagiarism. Factual information does not need to be cited, so if you want to look up the location of a place, or if you want to just learn about the history of something, that's fine. As long as it's not data that somebody conducted, as long as it's not a survey or any kind of research that one person did, to prove a theory, as long as it's not theory, anything like that, don't use, because you need a formal citation, and that can start to get a little hectic. So just keep it to facts and common knowledge. You have two options for this project. Option one, when you visit a place, so what I mean by place, a museum, a hotel, a business, a school, or university in general, there's usually brochures in some kind of office that provide information about a location. It's just you're thinking about informative brochures mainly for this assignment. They're important documents because they teach the audience information about something. They summarize important information that the audience should know about this place. So for option one, any type of location that you want, it doesn't have to be a business, but any type of location, and create a brochure to teach the audience about this place. So maybe your favorite beach, and you do a brochure on this beach. That could be a really cool way just to teach the audience about what this place is. If you don't want to do that, a really cool one that I think is fun is option two as well. Both are fun. Just depends on your preference. Have you ever tried to explain a how-to? For example, I don't know anything about cars. I am so clueless. It's embarrassing about cars. So if somebody was trying to explain to me how to change a tire, for example, I would be lost. So that person would become very frustrated with me fast, because I would be so confused. Trying to explain how to do something, especially technical like that, to friends, family, strangers, it can be very difficult, but it's a valuable lesson, because you have to make sure even when you're just verbally telling them how to do something, you have to make sure you're clear and concise. So for option two, a cool thing to do, this is kind of like a technical writing route, is you can create a brochure that teaches the audience how to do something. And that could be nice because it's something you know well, so you don't have to look up anything. How to do anything you want. These are some examples. How to make coffee, how to change a tire, how to put on makeup, how to draw, anything. How to make a floral arrangement, something like that. It could be a really cool way to kind of get that step by step, and you have to make sure that you're clear and concise so that your audience can easily follow along. So option one or two, whatever you're interested in. What's very important about brochures, and especially just to make sure we all have the same type of design, you have to design them a particular way or they're not brochures. So we have to make sure we're careful with that. Brochures should be designed, I have not had my coffee today, sorry. Brochures should be designed in something called a 6-panel design. So in these previous files in this week's module, make sure you're clear on what that means. 6-panel designs is basically what it means is it's 6 columns. And it totals to 2 pages. These aren't printed, but if it was a printed brochure, it would be front and back basically, but you're doing it on a computer, so it'd be 2 pages. 3 columns on the first page, 3 columns on the second page. And if it was a foldable brochure, it would still be, you know, if it was printed out, it would still be 6 columns. So, but it's back and forth when it's printed. So that trifold design that you're learning about this week, trifold because it folds in threes and it's front and back. But you're doing digital, so you know page 1 would have 3 columns, page 2 would have 3 columns, 6 columns total. So make sure you're doing that. The title page should be page 1 of your document, and I don't know why I'm doing hand gestures when I'm recording my screen. And the title page should be page 1 and should be on the right column. So let me actually go back really quick. Let's see. Here's a sample. This is a student sample too, so it's nice. Let's see. I'm just going to minimize this. I don't know why I talk. See, there you go. Like audience awareness, visual aids are helpful. This is an example of a trifold 6-column brochure. So something like this, where it's 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns, 6 columns. So it's 2 pages. Okay. It should have a cover page, cover title page column, and that should go in the page 1, the right column. Why? Because if you folded it, it would turn out to be that way as well. So make sure your title is on page 1, right column. Okay. Let's go back to the guidelines. Title page, we got it. Title page shouldn't have a lot of text because you want to get that audience's attention. So give your brochure some kind of title. Don't call it 203 Ingle 203 brochure. It's kind of boring. You have to pretend you're in this rhetorical situation and you want your audience to be interested too and think about the whatever it is you're writing about. So title it something related to your topic. And then a photo that represents your topic. Think about that sample we just looked at. Whatever a good photo, one photo that's eye appealing and you want the audience to pay attention. The remaining 5, so that's that first column on the right. So the remaining 5 columns should have their own section headings related to important information about your topic. Each column should at least have 1 photo because they're very visually based brochures. Use bullet points whenever listing information, whenever possible, because it guides the reader along, and you don't want clunky paragraphs for this. If you're using paragraphs, it's okay. Just make sure they don't go over 5 sentences. You want them brief, standard, complete paragraphs, of course, but that's it. No more than 5 for each time they're used. Use color if it's appropriate, but it's more than likely appropriate because this color is also a great way to guide the reader along. I mean, think how I'm using the red here to kind of get you moving into focusing on each part that I'm mentioning that I want you to really narrow in on and focus. Change the background color if it looks good, things like that. What does this all total to? So the brochure should be 6 different categories. That's including that title page and 6 total images. It could be more, but that's just kind of a good way to get you thinking. And, you know, if you're doing option 2, especially if you're doing steps, so that should be nice steps. Step 1 is that first column. Step 2, maybe also in the first column, but below. And step 3 is the second, you know, however you want, but at least there should be 1 to 2 steps in each of those columns. So that's a good way to use categories as well. And then, let's see. 6 total images or more, of course. Design principles apply. Think about contrast. What words does the audience need to focus on? Be very careful with this. If you're writing how to, and there's some safety steps that you have to really be careful about. If you're writing warnings, in fact, this didn't transfer well in the guidelines. I have it's in red, but it didn't transfer red on here. If you're writing warnings, you know, yellow or red, you really want to use that color because that's your ethical consideration. That's your ethical responsibility as a communicator. So if you're writing warnings, make sure you've used that bright color to stand out. That's an important rule in tech writing. Tech writers have to do that. It's their ethical consideration because if the audience is using something where safety is a factor, you've got to make sure they're really focusing on that. So if writing warnings, you know, make sure they stand out. That word warning stands out. Maybe that little caution symbol you want to add. Alignment, all subtext below any section heading should be aligned evenly. Again, think about this. Where did I put it? Did I put it here? Oh, I have it after, I think. Let's see. Let me jump around really quick. Oh, yeah. So in 9.5, I'll add that. You should review this file as well. Alignment, making sure all images and text are evenly aligned instead of like this where it's all the way over here and then it goes back here. It looks messy. So just make sure you're using alignment where all of the subtext below any section heading should be aligned evenly. Use white space. You don't want things to look too overcrowded, especially if when you're using images, sometimes they can clutter a little bit. So using that, that white space, think about how this page uses white space where there's that white space right here so that these don't get caught up in this. So, this is nice because you can easily review the grading rubric and it doesn't look clunky over here. That's using white space as well. Descending order of importance, think about we're really focusing on that continuously. So especially if you chose option 1, what's the most important information about this place first? That should probably go in that second, in the main column, and then end with the least important. That would be if it was printed on the back. So that's something to think about. If choosing option 2, what's the first step? It should probably just be what's the first step that the audience takes, and then what's the last step. You would end with that one. And then repetition, what style are your section headings in? Make sure all those section headings are in the exact same style and format and color and size. What style is the subtext? Subtext is the information below section headings. Those subtexts for each column should all be the same format, font, style, and size. Section headings should always be larger. This is a section heading because it's larger. It's to guide the reader along. And then the subtext is smaller. And then you're teaching the audience this information, whether it's about the place or how to do something regardless. So clear, concise writing makes your message clear. If complex terminology is, of course, used, maybe your audience knows a little bit about what you're talking about. Maybe they're not completely in the dark. You still want to define the meaning then, just so they're clear. And always use bullet points when listing something like this because it guides the reader along a little bit better. This is due then, so here's the grading rubric below. It's all of this information just in the rubric form. So just review it on your own time. Let me know if you have any questions, if something is unclear to you. Use that student sample just as a nice guide for design. Always just use samples for design ideas, but use the guidelines as your main source reference because you want to make sure you're always following guidelines, because sometimes I make updates each semester to things, and you could download what you just looked at here right here as well. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm excited to think about what kind of creative ideas you all have with this, so it'll be a lot of fun.